Hey guys, good to see you again. And last time, as you know, we talked about what TypeScript is. We showed you how to set up a project twice actually. And yeah, now we're going to talk about some very basic concepts like what variables are. We will teach you how to print to the console and show you what types are. And after that, I will test Stephan and see where his skills are, if he listened properly.
Let's do it. I'm looking forward
Good.
to it, to learn something again.
That's great.
Okay, let's start.
So last time, this is where we left off. We just created our very first Hello World example, and we could just remove this right here. Right. So this is like probably the most basic TypeScript program you could imagine. If I hit npx TypeScript, as you remember, that transpiles the project into JavaScript right here. And if I hit node script.js, then it will just output hello world.
Yep.
And by the way, you can reiterate
It's like we did this just a couple minutes before.
Yeah. So by the way, you can move to old commands by using the arrow keys, just going up or down. So if I go up, then that's, as you can see, my history that I've used.
Okay.
Yeah, very useful to have. So right, let's get into it. So basically this console.log, console is just a different name for a terminal right here. It says logs is print this, what's between the parentheses into the terminal right here, and that's exactly what happened. Now, you can of course write whatever you want in here. You can write test. We saw that Stephan wrote something very silly last time, which is absolutely not true.
I wouldn't call it silly, but we still have to check on that, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So what you saw before was a variable, and basically a variable is a place to store something. So if I want to say, I don't know, my username is Max, then I can put that in here. And a variable always looks the same way.
Mm-hmm.
A variable has initializer, so this let tells us that we're working with a variable.
Okay.
This right here, that's the name of the variable.
Mm-hmm.
That could be whatever you want. I chose it to be username. It could be, I don't know, my username. It could be test. It could be whatever you want. And then you need an equal sign. So the equal sign means whatever is on the right of the variable is assigned to the variable. So inside of username now is Max.
So if I would say print username.
Exactly. So if we go console
was it right?
Yeah, .log, and instead of curly braces, we say username, and then we run it. Then right at the bottom here it says Max.
Yep. And
of course it always also says test because that's what's up here.
Yeah.
And
what's this light bulb which is popping up all the time?
What do you mean?
There's a light bulb.
The light bulb, or maybe we can find it somewhere. For example, here maybe. Nope.
Just write let again. I'm pretty sure
okay.
I saw it there. No.
There
it was.
There it was. Yeah, just for a second. Huh? Yeah, so what the light bulb does, we'll see it at
It
a
was
later
again.
point. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Okay, that's the right
It
answer
just
then.
gives you like some suggestions what you can do.
So, but just, I thought I'd ask.
So yeah, right now we've only worked with strings is what they're called.
Mm-hmm.
So string is between those quotes right here. But we can of course also say let num for number, for example, 1, 2, 3. So as you can see here, it's highlighted a bit differently. Like this is some darker orange versus this, I don't know, yellowish thing here, sand colored.
Sand
Yeah.
color.
So that is basically a number. If we hover over the variable name, then it will tell us that this is a number.
Okay.
Well, this up here is a string.
So if I would have the terminal print out 1, 2, 3,
then what do you want? What would you do?
As a string, I would have put it into the Gänsefüßle.
Yeah, like in those quotes. So you can. Oh.
So now it would be a string, right?
That's exactly right. Now it would be a string. Like the values are, it's still 1, 2, 3, but it's a string. So that's a big difference.
But the variable now has a string in it and not a number.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So,
are there other variable types than number and string?
There are, and we'll get into that later.
Okay.
So, basically what you also can do is, for example, if we right now log, if we go back here and we log the number here again, as you can see, it prints out 1, 2, 3, and it's also a bit green here. That's just the terminal telling us that it's a number.
That's a number, okay. Do I have to do this always?
What do you mean?
This npx TSC.
That's what I meant. Like in a future video, we'll show you an easier way of how to do it, like so that you don't always have to run those two commands, but there's like a shortcut for it, which we would have to set up and which takes some time to explain. So for now, it
so that's not an easy thing.
It's not very easy if you don't know how to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So this let number tells us that the variable, not number, this let keyword tells us that we can also change the content of this variable. So if we say num again, and as you can see, we don't need the let keyword here because we already initialized the variable. And that just means that we've already created this variable. We can say, for example, 456. And if we console.log it again, then what do you think happens now?
I have no idea.
Think about it a bit.
I don't want to.
There's no wrong answers. Like, just guess.
Yes, there are wrong answers.
I mean, there are wrong answers, but doesn't matter if it's wrong.
Well, first of all, we are telling it that the variable num is 1, 2, 3. Now we're telling it that the variable num is 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6. God damn it. So
what do you think happens right here in this?
4, 5, 6 would be the answer.
That's very good. As you can see, it says 4, 5, 6 here. It also says 1, 2, 3. And it's because we've printed it out before we've changed it.
Okay, but doesn't this create a problem later on? When I do have a variable with two different signed numbers in this case?
What do you mean? Okay, I see what you mean. So you think that it can be confusing that we that this num is 1, 2, 3, and this is
Because we
4,
have the
5, 6.
same name for the variable.
So you would usually be aware, or you have to be careful about where you change a variable. And usually it's not so much recommended to change variables, because that's exactly right. Like right now we can see, of course, here changes, so we can expect that this is 4, 5, 6. But in like a really big problem, in a really big program, it can change. And yeah, you don't, oh, sorry, I was getting a bit lost there, but in a really big program, you probably don't always know when a variable changes.
Yeah.
So a different thing is if you write const and then let's say new num, or test num, and give it the value of 1, 2, 3, and then console log it. Let's make it uppercase. Then right now you can see that, or maybe give it a different value, 555. Then
555, help me please.
right, so you can see not really a difference here, like it just prints out a number as well.
It's a little different.
Yeah, like the only difference is that this is blue for some reason, and it starts with a const, right?
Const for constante?
Yeah, basically, like it's a constant, and
right.
That means that if I would want to say that test num equals 666 now, or maybe
don't use that number.
777, then
just in case.
Yeah, then TypeScript basically tells me you cannot assign it because it's a constant. And if I would want to say run it again, then already the transpiler gives me an error and says you cannot assign it because it's a constant value.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's like...
Got it.
It's usually always better to use constants than to use variables, so you don't make mistakes. And yeah.
But you actually, in a real project, you wouldn't use a variable and just put a number in it, right? Because then you, for what reason, there might be one, but normally you put something else behind that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So another thing is, what if I, maybe let's remove this num thing here. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Let's remove this constant here. Let's say we keep those variables, but what do you think happens if I want to assign, instead of 4, 5, 6, if I want to assign a string like Max right here?
You just do it.
Okay, if I just do it, then it complains again, and let me save that, and we'll see what... Right.
Because you said beforehand that the variable num is a number?
That's absolutely correct. So I've specified here that it's a number, and I can't assign it to
a string. Okay.
Can't assign a string to a number.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So that's the big difference about TypeScript. In JavaScript, I could not do that because JavaScript doesn't really know types in that way. So in JavaScript, that would be no problem. And that's also, like you said, like if you reassign something like that, it can be very confusing. And at a later point, that could make some problems in like a really big program. So yeah. That's
so to answer your question, there's no way to do that.
Yeah, there's no way to do it. Like if you want to have something, or let's say Stephan, then you would want to use a new a variable. So let's call it my name. And now Stephan works, of course. Or if I want to change username, which, if you remember, we initialized up here.
As Max, no, it will be Stephan. Okay.
Yeah. Now instead of Max, if I console log the username down here and save. There you go. Then now it says Stephan instead of Max or Max.
Okay. Why do we need variables?
Why do we need variables? Yeah. Wow. Variables help us a lot. Like usually we want to save something at some point and then later reference it. Like right now in a program like this, we of course wouldn't need variables where we always print stuff. But later on, when we get some more experience and we dive deeper into stuff, then I'm sure that will answer your question. But right now, we wouldn't need them. I'm just telling you or showing you examples on how to use them or what they are, basically.
Okay.
So if we remove that basic stuff again and think back to the types, then also we could, like, for now we couldn't probably say what's that username. Like maybe if we have like, let's say, for example, sorry, before I get lost here, let's say let's make a new variable, call it second username. And what you can also do is assign a variable to a different variable. So you can say second username is the same as username. And if I console.log it now, what do you think happens?
Max would be the...
That's exactly right. It just says Max again. Because it just copies the value from here to here.
If you would have num put in num there, then you would have 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay, I got that. Yeah.
Okay. But
really makes
you can also concatenate it. So if you say, if you say Stephan here for the second username, and now you can say username, and with a plus, you can link those together. So what do you think is getting logged to the console now?
Max and Stephan. The plus sign wouldn't appear, right? Yeah. I don't think it.
Yeah. So maybe you don't expect this, but it also is together, so there's no space between.
There's no no Leerzeichen.
So if you would want a space in an example like this, we could add like an empty string with a space like this, and with those pluses we basically concatenate the variables. So if we save it and go,
or you just put a plus between those Gänsefüßle.
Yeah, we can also do that, yeah. So, or maybe with a space. So, but right now it just is an empty space.
Yeah.
And it says Max Stephan. Okay. So the next thing I want to show you is that you can also like specify it up here if you want to make sure that this username can always, if you're not sure, for example, if we go back to the example and say username here, if you're not sure what the username's type would be, then you can specify here that it can only be a string.
Oh, okay.
So you add a colon and add string. And here, for example, is where you can say that's a number. I know that's going to be a number. It has to be a number.
So this does actually mean that when I would just take the example at num, number be 1, 2, 3, and I would just write something else in it, a string, then I would already get an error, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the thing is that, like I said, you don't always know what it would be, but for examples like this, like we just assign a value to it, and you know 100% that this right here is a number, then TypeScript automatically also infers it. So that's what's called type inferring, that TypeScript knows, okay, this variable is a number.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. But if you want to be sure, then you can also always say type of and say, for example, num. And we can do the same. Let's just do it for the num right now. And if we save it and transpile it and compile it again, then it says right here number. So type of just tells us what type of variable is. That can be very handy sometimes, especially if you're debugging, if you don't know what's going on, and maybe type of can help you a bit. And I think, like maybe another thing that I would like to show you for now is that you can also increase if you have a variable like this. And if we, by the way, also very useful, a comment. It means that this line of code, instead of deleting it, you can also comment it out. So that just means you put 2 slashes in front of it.
Okay, this actually I know. That's the same thing with Xcode.
Yeah, that's very similar for a lot of programming languages. Yeah, and just basically says this exists, but it's ignored by Node. So if I
by the terminal, so this is just for basic comments if developers want to share their thoughts, why they did that, what's happening in this part of,
or maybe just if you think maybe there's a code in this a mistake in this piece of code, then you can, and you don't want to delete it, you can just comment it out, and if the program runs, then you know there's a mistake in this part. Or
okay, so that's
so it has a lot of
easy way to establish that. Oh, it's okay. Nice.
So that's very useful. And right now you can see it only says tests max and 1, 2, 3 right here if I run it. And also good to know is the plus equals. So if you go num and plus equals, you basically add on top of this number. So you go, for example, I don't know, let's say this number is 10 and you go 10 right here. So what do you expect this console.log to be?
20. That's or does it say 10 plus 10? No, it wouldn't be, right?
Let's find out. So your first guess was right. It's a 20. Yeah.
Are these the tests you talked?
No. We'll get into that.
Recapping here.
What did we learn? Yeah. So if I forget something, you can of course jump in. But we learned how to console log, how to log to the console or to the terminal. There's 2 words for it, as we learned. We learned what variables are. We differentiated between constant variables and those we can change. We learned what types are. At least we learned about the types of string and number, and how we can find out what those types are with the type of variable. And I think that's it. And so in the next few videos, we will explore some different coding concepts, like what loops are, what conditional statements are. And maybe we will make our lives a bit easier by removing all those 2 npx and node commands that we had to use earlier, and turn it into one that we have to run.
Okay.
And
sounds great. Looking forward to that. I hope you too.
Me too. Yeah.
From my side, thank you very much. Have a great day. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.